What's going on, football fans? It's time once again for another rendition of the Pound for Pound. I'm your host, J.R. Clark, and today we're going to be just kind of doing like a little bit of housework. You know, we're in the middle of the dead time, the slow time of the off season, so there's not really a ton of news that's come out, but there has been a few things that have popped up. Nothing real like super newsworthy, but you know, I wanted to touch base with y'all and just talk on just a few little things that have popped up. First thing on the docket is Arthur Blank is receiving a Sportsman Award from the Atlanta Sports Council. I think like a lifetime achievement type award, which I think is really cool to see. Arthur Blank has done quite a bit for this city as far as sports goes, obviously with the Falcons and the building of the Mercedes-Benz stadium, but also with the bringing Major League Soccer to Atlanta with the Atlanta United, which has been really fun to watch. And if you haven't, watched any of the games or looked into it, I highly suggest it. That they've been real fun to watch and real interesting, especially if you're not like a huge soccer fan. This kind of gives you a good reason to, get into the sport of soccer, which is, probably the world's biggest sport, so it's cool that Atlanta's got its own major league team, and I highly suggest that you check them out. They've been playing pretty well. Another thing, keeping with Arthur Blank, he come out and said yet again that he highly expects that Devonta is going to be here for a long time, and that they're going to get this contract done. Things like this kind of take time, so can't do everything all at once. I highly expect that it'll be done before training camp ends, before the regular season starts, which, you get him under contract, and you still got Tevin under the contract for the next couple of years under his rookie deal. Maybe by then, who knows, maybe we can keep that core together for a while. Another thing that's popped up that I find extremely interesting was Von Miller last week put together a pass rushing summit for a bunch of guys in the, pass rushers in the league. And from what I understand, from what I've heard, like either on the radio or reading articles or whatever, was that came about because for the past 2 years that him and Vic Beasley have been trying to get together and work out in the offseason. So they wasn't able to do it last year, but were able to do it this year. And, Vaughn was like, well, man, why, instead of doing just me and you, why don't we do everybody? Bring everybody in. So that's kind of cool. I enjoy seeing the guys, not just on our team, but just the guys in general coming together and trying to hone their craft. There's an old saying in the Bible, that, iron sharpens iron. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that, you get better by pitting yourself, with some of the greats and against some of the greats. It's the only way you're going to get any better. So I'm encouraged to see that, Vic Beasley isn't resting on the laurels of being the NFL sack leader last year and is trying to get better and is trying to, learn from some of the best in the league. So that's real cool to see. Since we last talked, the NFL's top 100 players come out, their annual list. Part of me says that the list is so bogus, because it's voted on by the players. You don't know when they actually vote on it. And every time you see a shot, the players are really only voting for their top 20. And then they average it all out and place people that way. So I don't put much like stock in a list such as that. I mean, even when you have players like J.J. Watt coming out and saying, y'all voted me in the 30s and I only played 3 games last year. Well, I mean, that brings up the thing that the list is for the players going into 17, not necessarily, what you did, the previous year, even though that does heavily influence. But the big criticism of the list that has been this year has been, Matt Ryan being number 10 when he was the MVP of the league. So, I mean, like I said, I think that's crap. I think he should have been higher on their list, but of course I'm going to think that. I'm a Falcons fan. That's what we do. But even trying to look at it like as an outsider looking in type deal, not a fan of this team, you would think that the reigning MVP would be higher than number 10 on a top 100 list. So, like I said, I think the list is a bogus list. It's a tool for ratings and to get people to continue to talk about the NFL. So in that aspect, it works. So rock on, We're about 20 days away from the start of training camp. We're going to get, I know I will be going up there. I'm sure Toby will be going up there as well. And we'll be generating a lot more interest and, or not a lot more, topics as training camp kicks off. Right now, there's just not necessarily a ton to talk about. I've seen floating around the idea of maybe picking up Gary Barnidge as a veteran tight end. I mean, sure, if he comes at a decent price, but I don't see where we need him myself. You always like to have some veteran presence, but I think, the core of Hooper, Toilolo, and, potentially Josh Perkins, I think is going to turn out to be good. Then you got, or the tight end out of Drake we drafted, giving him time to develop. So I don't necessarily think we need a veteran tight end, but, if you can get it for a decent price, I'm always game. I'm always game for a decent price. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Like I said, there wasn't a ton going on. Those were just a few things that had crossed my radar. As always, keep a tune on the channel, especially as we get closer to training camp. Me and Toby will be putting out more videos and more content as there's more things to talk about. All right, as always, Falcons fans, rise up.